guys, I'm Ray. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry, I kind of look like the peanut butter baby right now. I had started my makeup and then realized I hadn't fully collected my notes, so I had to grab them up real quick. So here we are. I do want to quickly say that this case that we're about to talk about, the Vallow case, involves the death and disappearance of 2 children. So if you are sensitive to that, please click away. This is not your video. This is not your content. I do want to say the lighting in the background is bad. I know. I'm going to try and improve it, trying to keep it going. I think part of that's due to the time of the day, but I'm going to try and work on getting a better setup. Pete, my stuffed animals in the background, all of them have names. Please give me a name for this bear. I found him at the thrift store a week ago. He's a yellow bear and he has white spots all over him, and I love him dearly. He doesn't have a name. That is Bob the penguin plant. That would be Germ the burrito. And then here we have Larry the hamster. He's my single squishmallow. Don't believe his actual name is Larry, but that's his name, Larry. Okay, so we're gonna need to talk about 2 people. So we need to know about Chad Dabo and Lori Vallow. In 2016, Lori married her 4th husband, which would be Charles Vallow. She had her son Colby, Tylee, her daughter. The daughter from her 3rd husband, we're going to be focusing mainly on Tylee, and then we're going to be focusing on their Charles and Lori Vallow adopted son JJ, who they adopted in 2014. He is the biological grandson of Charles' sister, so he was biologically related to Charles, but Charles and Lori adopted JJ. So they lived in, Hawaii for a while, and then they moved back to, the mainland, and they lived in Arizona. I just wanted to mention that they do hop between Arizona, Idaho, and Hawaii throughout the entire case. So I think Hawaii is a place you should keep in mind. Now, at first we were not sure if Lori and Chad knew each other before the deaths and disappearance of the kids, but almost 1 year before the public announcement of the cases, Chad and Lori were both on a People Podcast Network, Time to Worry Up. Now, one thing you need to understand about this is they had some pretty, big beliefs, is how I would phrase it. Definitely, big beliefs. They were very much doomsday believers. Chad was a fiction writer of different doomsday books. That's definitely one thing you want to keep in mind here. He was a religious leader. He claimed he had visions and he could communicate with God. So, obviously such a high, powerful being, right? So this is the type of person we are dealing with, and I think you need to keep that in mind. Lori started to also gain these doomsday beliefs, sort of a second coming, and definitely was, a little fishy, if you ask me. One thing I also want to note about this is Lori was known as a very loving mother. Everyone knew her as such a loving, caring mom. She loved being a mom. It was what she was made to do. She loved her kids. She would never let harm come to them. So I think that's one reason why I find this case kind of more sad and a little bit, tragic. Because Lori Vallow was such an amazing mom. She was very loving to her daughter and to JJ. I mean, she raised him like her own. She very much loved them, and so the fact that, she did what she did to them, whether or not she was actually does it or it was, Chad, we'll get to in a bit later, it's just a little upsetting, I would say. So, in 2019, early 2019, Lori and Charles, they were still together, well, Charles was still alive, and they were having some issues. Charles believed that Lori needed mental health, that she was going through stuff. There's police body camera footage showing Charles pleading that Lori needed this mental health help. But officers determined that she had a normal state of mind, and she was medically cleared. And so Charles filed for divorce from Lori in February. He claimed that she viewed herself as a god. You know, that obviously is a little concerning, if you ask me. Because I don't think it's every day that you're just like, oh yeah, my wife believes she is a god. Especially, she had such a strong belief in Christ, which made this all a bit more interesting, I would say. Charles claimed that his wife would kill him if he got in the way to perform the mission of preparing for the second coming of Christ. So, I understand the, divorce, because, your wife, you believe she could kill you, that she said she would, and she had the strong belief, that she needed to prepare for Christ. So she started showing, these very erratic behaviors. He was very concerned. But like before, no one was paying much attention, and so he filed for divorce. But later on, Charles stopped the divorce proceedings because he said he wanted to make the marriage work. During the divorce proceedings, it is said that Lori disappeared to Hawaii for nearly 2 months, leaving the children with other people. So I think that's another thing, is she kind of just disappeared and disregarded her children, which is a first warning sign, especially because she was known as being such a loving mother, that she just kind of dropped them off. It's a little concerning, if you ask me. Another thing that we're going to bring up is Lori's niece. She also had these similar beliefs as, Lori, and had joined a cult. They were kind of, as said by, her ex-husband, and by her ex-husband, I'm talking about Lori's niece. So we're talking about Lori's niece now. So we're talking about Melanie. So Melanie demanded a divorce from her husband, Brandon. Brandon claims that his wife, at the time, affiliated herself with similar beliefs as her aunt and had joined, this cult. And so that is, another, warning sign of something coming. And the demands for divorce was such a shock to Brandon, because he thought that the marriage was in a good place. He was very much happy. He thought that they were healthy and going. And so it was very much a shock for him, especially with the strong and, very differing beliefs that his wife suddenly got. And obviously it probably wasn't sudden, but this must have been how it seemed to him, because it went from, we're in such a good spot in a relationship, to, I want a divorce, I'm leaving you, I demand this, we are done. I don't know, that's just it must be kind of concerning too, because when you're married to someone, you're you're married, you love them, and if they all of a sudden are just I want a divorce, not even fully explaining why, I don't know, that's a bit concerning for me, man. Okay, now we're going to be talking about the first death wrapped into this case. On July 11th of 2019, the Chandler Police Department discovers that Alex Cox, Lori's brother, which I believe I've mentioned, killed Charles Vallow, her husband, at the time. The one who tried to divorce her, but she, he stayed because he wanted to make it work, and then, she had, threatened that she would kill him, and then her brother ended up shooting him. He claimed that this was in self-defense, but police, were still investigating that case. Now, I believe she's been being charged with the death. Alex cannot be charged because, I don't know if tragically or not, he passed away in late 2019, I do believe. It was really weird because Tylee and, Lori had left, and then they came back and the shooting had happened, but they seemed so calm. They didn't seem overly stressed. They had gotten their nails done. They were all made up. There's police footage of this you can go and you can look up. It just, I don't know. It's super suspicious. like, especially because Tylee was involved in this. I feel so bad that Tylee was involved in all of this, but still ended up sadly passing away. And I think that's kind of sad. You know, maybe she shared the same beliefs as her mother, but it's also sad because she's the one that disappeared first. It was not, you know, JJ, who was 9 at the time of disappearance. September 8th. The whole family visited Yellowstone National Park. So on September 8th, this was the last time that anyone had seen Tylee. So that was the last time she was seen. And it is believed that they might have killed or moved her first, or she was put somewhere else. It's also really sad because for the longest time before their bodies were found, their family saying how much of a loving mother that Lori is, that they must be somewhere else. They must be safe, you know? They're probably just hidden away, must be like, maybe they're in a bunker. Maybe they really just had them somewhere safe, you know? Lori's family especially was claiming that there's no way that they could be dead. Like, Lori would never let that happen to her kids. But, you know, it kind of shows how well you kind of know people. On September 9th, phone records place Alex, you know, Lori's brother, on Chad Dable's property. This is before that Chad and Lori got married, in the general areas where eventually the bodies would be found. And, you know, it's kind of sad. On September 3rd of 2019, Lori enrolled JJ in school. Less than 3 weeks later, JJ attended class for the last time, and his mother unenrolled him, saying he would be homeschooled. So JJ was enrolled in a school in Ohio because they moved to moved to Idaho. JJ was enrolled in a school in Idaho. Tylee wasn't. I do believe that Tylee had had already graduated high school or had I forgot what it's called. I'm gonna put it on the screen because I totally forgot what it's called. You know, the equivalent to a high school diploma.
The word I was looking for was GED. I'm smart.
Like 3 weeks after JJ had enrolled in this elementary school, he was then removed and was told that he'd be homeschooled. October 1st, Lori rents a storage unit. And so, this storage unit is actually going to be very helpful because there is footage of Lori, Chad, and Alex at the storage unit, moving very big, heavy items and what appears to be kids' items, the belongings of Tylee and JJ. There were several visits in October and November. There were many times where Alex, well, who appeared to be Alex, so we're just gonna call him Alex because, you know, he was very much part of this whole thing with his sister, visited this storage unit. And there are also times when it appears to be Chad going with Alex and Chad going with Lori. So, on October 2nd, another thing we should keep in mind, that Brandon, Mallory, Lori's niece's ex-husband, the one she demanded a divorce from, said that he was shot at with a bullet, missing his head by inches. The scary thing is that the vehicle that the shooter was driving was attached to the already deceased Charles Vallow that had been killed by Alex. And people believe that it was Alex driving that Jeep. That same day, actually, Lori bought a wedding ring on Amazon, which I don't know. I feel like you should mention that she just bought a wedding ring, and so that is fun. And then keep in mind, Chad's still married to his wife at the time. So on October 9th, Chad Daybell's wife said, so this was, okay, so keep in mind, on October 2nd, Brandon said that a masked man had come at him and tried to shoot him, and then, a few days later, October 9th, Tammy Daybell, the then wife of Chad Daybell, called 911, saying a masked man shot at her with a paintball gun, and she had no idea what the motive was. This was actually reported 10 days before her death. Now, one thing to keep in mind, Chad was talking about, and I believe on his Cloud Pass and just in general, he felt that his wife was gonna die. That he was just a premonition, and because, God told him that his wife was gonna just mysteriously pass away. Chad called saying that Tammy died in her sleep. They ruled this death as natural, but they didn't have an autopsy, I believe. So September 8th, so well over a month ago, that was when Tylee disappeared, and that is when we were pretty sure she was sadly taken out of the picture. But on October 25th, a friend of Tylee had texted Tylee asking where she was up, and she was just like, "Hi, miss you guys too, love ya." So it looks like either she was still alive at this time, or what I suspect, her mother had her phone, or Chad or Alex, and they were checking up at the amount of messages and just wanted to put in a response so there wouldn't be too much suspicion. So another suspicious thing is, so Tammy passed away, Chad Daybell's husband, passed away on October 19th. November 5th, Chad and Lori got married. So they got married in Hawaii, and then they went back to Idaho. So police was looking into this, and Chad apparently was telling witnesses that Lori had no minor children. Police also was saying that Lori told people that Tylee died years earlier. So they were claiming that they didn't have young kids, and Lori was claiming that Tylee had already been dead. And I don't know, now we're in November. JJ was last seen on the 22nd of September. Obviously no longer September, it is now in November. On November 26th, the police department were called to conduct a welfare check for JJ at the request of his grandparents because they had not spoken to him in months, which was very irregular. And so they wanted to know what was up because, Lori wasn't telling them anything. They obviously weren't getting anything from Chad. His father, JJ's adoptive father, obviously had been killed in self-defense. And so they were really trying to figure out what was going on with JJ because, he was their kid, a grandkid, but they loved him and they wanted to know what was up with him. And they weren't really getting anything from Lori. Lori was not giving them anything. So they conducted this wellness check. When the police got there, they did not see JJ. But Lori, instead of telling them that JJ was dead or that something was going on, Lori told the police that JJ was with her friend, Melanie Gibb. Not her sister Melanie, different Melanie, in Arizona. They were in Idaho, but she claimed that her son was with her friend in Arizona. They called her friend and asked her to lie to the police about this, and she didn't. And the police determined, obviously very easy, that JJ was not with Melanie Gibb. So on the day after they had done this, the police get a search warrant, and when they arrive, they realized that the Daybells, Lori and her new husband Chad, mysteriously just abruptly upped and left. Just disappeared, which was suspicious. Well, why would they just leave if nothing was up and around? Why? So they just mysteriously upped and left. They were able to, find that on December 1st, Chad and Lori got a flight to Hawaii, and there were no children with them. It was just Chad and Lori. So definitely there were no children with them at this time. There are lots of speculations that the reason why they ended up killing their children. It could be one, they believe that they had turned into zombies. Which I know seems strange, but lots of their beliefs were very dramatic. So lots of people believed that their children had turned into zombies. Some other people were saying maybe they were trying to return them to Christ or trying to save them from the second coming. Honestly, you can't really know, but yeah. On December 12th, Alex, Lori's brother, died. That after an autopsy, it reveals that there was nothing suspicious going on with him. He died of a blood clot, so he was not poisoned, and there was no murder with him. But he has passed away, so sadly they can't really, find anything. On December 20th, the police announced JJ and Tylee missing. Police start saying the disappearance might be linked to the suspicious death of Tammy Daybell, Chad's ex-wife, because they have started seeing Tammy's death as suspicious, and they have, gone in for an autopsy because this was starting to become really suspicious. And then Chad and Lori have been labeled as people of interest. On December 23rd, the attorney representing the Daybells released a statement calling the parents loving and devoted, which, again, everyone has always known them as loving and devoted parents, but yet these children are just gone. They're not there. And so, but this is, what their attorney is saying. Oh, these are loving, devoted parents, and that is what the statement that they are releasing. Their attorney says that, they will address allegations once they move beyond rumor and speculation. They're just acting like there was obviously they're acting like there was nothing to back up what people were believing, even though it was starting to definitely add up. And so people definitely had their very rightful suspicions at this point, but, Chad and Lori were very much playing it off as, oh, these are just, wrongful accusations. These are just your suspicions. You don't have any proof of it. Instead of, if the kids were okay, why didn't they just, show the kids? Everything that was simple, if they could show the kids, but they couldn't. So, that is why people were, being so suspicious. Because if you could have just shown the kids, let the police know where they are, publicly announced, oh, don't worry, my kids are just fine, I don't think everyone would be so worried, because they wouldn't be worried about your kids. You had absolutely nothing to show them. So therefore, people got suspicious. The Rexburg Police Department, the police department that was mainly working on this case, said that they called parents' lack of cooperation astonishing. And because a couple left Idaho instead of helping law enforcement, and they believed that Lori had information of where the children are or what happened to them. On January 3rd of 2020, the FBI served a search warrant on the Daybells' home in Salem, in Idaho, on January 3rd, and they recovered 43 items, including computers, cell phones, journals, documents, and medications, and they were, sent to lab for, for the analysts. As investigators, keep looking for the kid, the grandparents of JJ announced a $20,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of the kids. Because obviously they want to find JJ, because JJ is their grandkid, but, so is Kaylee, and so they want to know where their kids are. Which, honestly, I don't really... If I was in that situation, I would very much also be trying to figure out where the heck my grandkids would be, because, you're very much... Where are my kids? They should be here. They're not here. Trying to find who has them, why people who should have him don't have them. And so you're just expecting, them to be one place, but that's just not where they are. And so, I don't know. They put out this reward for any information or for the children. Just in case maybe they got kidnapped or someone was holding them hostage or there was something that, had not been released to them from Lori because they wanted to find the kids. I think everyone in that situation would definitely want to be high priority their kids, but Lori and Chad just kept ignoring. They were in Hawaii living their best life, ignoring the existence or anything to do with the children. And I don't know, that just adds up to being more and more suspicious, really. So Alex and Lori's stories contradicted each other after looking at the body camera footage released after Alex, killed Charles Vallow in self-defense. On January 29th, Kay and Lori Woodcock, JJ's grandma, filed for guardianship of JJ because they were getting worried about the safety of JJ and Kaylee, and they didn't have any right over Kaylee, but they did over JJ due to the being the biological grandparents. So on January 30th, Lori misses the deadline to produce any evidence of JJ and Tylee to the Idaho Department of Health. And so she does not give any proof of the safety, well-being, or existence of the kids, which she was filed to show, and she doesn't. So on February 3rd, 2020, people look and go through the storage unit where Lori put in, lots of the kids' items, and they found tons of bikes, scooters, clothes, photo albums, sports equipment. They find JJ's backpack. They find blankets showing photos of the children. And so, they are finding evidence that these are all the items of the kids. On February 12th, they put out that February 2019, we're in February 2020 now, but from 19, Charles had removed Lori from $1 million life insurance policy, and Woodcock was named the sole beneficiary. And that gives, that right there, if Lori did not know that she had been removed from the insurance policy, that gives her a motive to kill Charles. So that already is giving her a motive of one count of murder. Lori is in jail right now because in Hawaii because she couldn't show the kids, so she was in jail. So they take Lori from Hawaii, and they try to speak to her before she gets moved to a jail in Idaho, but she's not saying anything. So her first initial court appearance was on March 6th of 2020. And then she stayed in jail with a $1 million bail. So she's not getting out of there unless she can get $1 million out of nowhere. On June 9th, they get a search warrant at Chad's home, and within hours, they find the remains of JJ and Tylee. And on June 9th, Chad is taken to custody about a mile from his home because what happened is he came there, and after that, he had fled. So they went down and they found him because he had fled right after they started digging, I do believe. But they got him, and he was taken into custody on 2 felony charges of concealment and a distribution of alteration of evidence. Well, distribution or alteration. He also ends up in court with a $1 million bail. On July 15th, Lori pled not guilty to any of her crimes. Everything, all the felonies and the murder she was held against, she claimed not guilty. This is basically where we're coming up to now. They're still not fully I don't believe they have been actually charged with the murders yet, but they are both in jail. And that kind of brings us up to date. This is like a really sad case to me because, you know, they're kids. And like, especially because I'm 17, I'm almost 18, and like, knowing that Tylee was also my age, I think that kind of hits home for me a little bit more. And, you know, my youngest sibling's 13, but like the idea of like my little brother going missing, I don't know, it kind of hits kind of hard to home, especially because it's the parent who killed and lied about the whereabouts of their children. I would not be surprised if Alex had any part of this before he passed away, but he cannot be held to any crimes. He also cannot be, you know, investigated, and his part in it really stays unknown because he's not there to investigate. You know, if he was here, obviously, for us to investigate, I'm positive that they would have, and I'm positive that he would also be in jail, like, you know, Lori and Chad. But, you know, obviously, he's not. I'm pretty sure that lots of what they did and why they did it had to do with their beliefs. And I am not going to shame anyone for their personal beliefs, but as someone who was raised heavily Catholic and now identifies as under loose pagan / Wiccan beliefs, the fact that people take religion to this extreme, also the fact that she claimed to be Christian in Second Coming of Christ, but both her and Chad would call themselves gods, which is very much a big no-no in the Catholic Church, at least, and I'm almost positive in the Christian Church as well. It's one of the 10 Commandments: you shall not honor false gods. And so, I don't know, it's sad. I wish that it wasn't how it was, but that is, you know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to try and do more of these types of videos. Maybe I am, maybe I won't, who knows. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys later.